Hey, how's it going? So I'm going to make a video right now talking about my response to the docu-short period end of sentence. I watched it this morning and this is going to be my response and feels on such an incredible documentary. It actually won at the Oscars. So if you're someone who is into excellent docu-series, or if you're into supporting women and celebrating periods and menstruation, the document's for you. So basically, when this first came onto Netflix, I put it into my save list to watch, and I sort of just let it sit there. I wasn't really watching it because, well, I don't think I really understood why I was holding off on watching it. I kind of thought initially, oh, it's just because I'm catching up with some other things and I'm busy, but after I watched it today, I realized that I think I actually wasn't watching it because I expected to get very triggered. Why did I think I was going to get triggered? Well, because I'm a trans guy and I intend to have bottom surgery. I have a lot of dysphoria in my bottom area, and I am going to be getting a hysterectomy and my hips done on April 11th. So things are very fresh and sensitive for me. I haven't had my period since I started hormones just over 3 years ago, and I don't really know what I thought was going to happen, but I just expected to get very emotional and uncomfortable, and that is the total opposite of what ended up happening. I actually feel inspired, thrilled, empowered, and just overall excited for women, particularly in India. For those who don't know, Period End of Sentence is a short film that follows a few women in India, in I believe Delhi, that are talking about menstruation, starting off by discussing how it's something that's very taboo in their country, and then going on to explain how they're able to care or not very much care for themselves. And basically they start creating their own pads called the Fly, and the rest of it is kind of their experience, and I don't really want to ruin anything for you in terms of spoiling it, but I do want to say that watching that film, I went through so many different layers of emotions. I feel like my initial thought was not at all about me. I wasn't actually thinking about myself while I was watching the film at all. I was very much focused on what the film was about and about these women in India. I was more in shock. I realized that I really didn't realize how much information I was actually fed properly in comparison, and how taboo it is to have your period and to discuss menstruation in India. That aspect I really didn't know. And so it was pretty horrifying to see that, when they would go and ask these, one would gather cisgender heterosexual males. They go and ask them, hey, do you know what a period is? Have you heard the word? Do you know what menstruation is? And one of them is like, oh, I've heard of that. I think it's an illness. It's something that they either lie knowing about because they're ashamed and because it's taboo, or they truly don't know. It actually seems almost like they truly just don't know, and it's more that the women are the ones that are ashamed, and you get to watch their watch their process of learning about periods and sanitary care. Some of the women are having to stop going to school and get an education because of the maintenance and care that goes into having your period. And it was very moving to watch these women get to reclaim their lives, get to celebrate such a wonderful, special part of the biological female anatomy, and the ability to just create life and the symbolism behind it, and watch them empower themselves even further by getting to turn it into work and making income. It's just a really moving and inspiring story. It really made me realize the amount of privilege that I had when I was living as female and when I had my period, because I was able to, actually right before I stopped having my period, I was using a Diva cup, so I had the ability to A, know people that knew what Diva cups were, and B, teach me and convince me to use them. And having the privilege to have a safe, sanitary space to clean that and use that, I mean, there's so much that goes along with it. As a trans person who is very uncomfortable with gender being associated with anatomy, and given that I'm changing my anatomy and that my anatomy has truthfully changed even just through hormones, to watch this was really reflective. I can see how it could be triggering to certain people, but I think it actually made me realize where I am at in my transition, that I have come to, even though I refer to my genitalia with typical male terms, there are times when I refer to my genitalia in a more scientific way, or I will even just in my own head say to myself, I have my junk, my penis, my whatever, but that I love and respect my vagina, and even though I'm going to be changing that aspect of me, it's a part of me right now, and even though it's hard for me to address that piece of me, I'm able now to talk about it and own it and respect and appreciate my body as I go through my transition. And I think that this film, although I didn't watch this film for any purpose related to my gender, and that I entirely don't want to take away the importance of this film, that this film is about period and about the women in India, and it's their story, but it certainly made me reflect upon other things as well that actually had to do with my transition. So I'd be interested to know how other trans folks feel about the film. I think it's wonderful, and it's worth watching for anybody. Just open your eyes to sex education and wellness and health education in general. We learn so much in comparison to so many other countries, and yet it's never really enough. So I think that this film has a lot of power and shows really how things are moving forward, and that's all we really can do. So thank you for hearing my thoughts. I'm super interested in knowing what your thoughts are about the film, about periods, about your genitals, whatever you want to share. Please comment below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Check out in the bio for my other social media links, and I hope to see you soon.